the same. He's driving home, driving home, driving home for Christmas.
So clever of Chris Rea, because everyone plays that, don't they? Especially when they've got either family coming home or they're heading off home for Christmas. So guaranteed a play or three, but it's a nice catchy tune as well. It's coming around to 9 minutes past 3, Friday afternoon, the Friday before Christmas. A bit frantic, I think, today is meant to be. But yeah. Guest on the sofa, in fact, is off on a Christmas party in a bit. We're welcoming the boss and the owner of James White Drinks Limited, Lawrence Mallinson. The company has just celebrated 25 years of pressing fruit and veg. Lawrence started out making soups. He was the founder of the Covent Garden Soup Company, but then took on the juice business here in the county. And over the years, they've won loads of awards, introduced various juices, including Beat It, made, yes, from beetroot, and Big Tom, which won a royal warrant. So thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure.
And nobly, maybe missing a little bit of the Christmas party.
I'm under strict instructions that I must get there before 4.
Okay, so we'll be swift. We'll let you away just after past. And he's already Christmased up, aren't you? You've had an addition to your jumper. So
I've had a little sticker on the jumper to give me a Christmas tree, and apparently I'm sparkling, although I didn't actually know. That seemed to have been done surreptitiously in the office. I think they're in the mood already.
Someone's flung a bit of sparkle around as well. So 25 years. I mean, when you set out, did you expect to still be doing the same thing 25 years on?
Oh, well, we're not doing the same thing. We've progressed unexpected directions. But, yeah, we started out doing apple juices, which we still do, and still very proud of our apple juices. But we sort of moved more and more and more into vegetable juices. And it's the sort of world that I quite like, which we like to do rather special niche markets rather than mass markets. And what's more niche in this country than vegetable juices, things like carrots and beetroot and spicy tomato juice, all of which are fantastically delicious, but we've got a lot of people to convince still.
Yeah, well, I guess it's a niche market, but it's something that you can't just rest on your laurels. You're always having to keep promoting, aren't you?
Someone forgot to tell me about that. You see, the boring thing is I thought I'd run, set up a business, it'd all go cracking when I put my feet up, smoke the big cigar, and generally have rest on my laurels for the rest of my life, and it just doesn't work like that. So 25 years later, I'm still there, still selling like mad and enthusiastically, but yeah, no one allows you to put your feet up. It's not part of the equation. I know now. It's occasions like this I suddenly think that maybe socialism is a good idea. It gives you the chance to rest.
But you combine within your role, I think. You're sort of like you look after the finance, but you also look after marketing. Is that right?
Yes, I sort of wear the two completely contradictory hats in the business, which in fact almost any sensible business has two separate people, because it's one moment I'm saying don't spend, stop spending, keep tight, and the other moment I'm going spend, let's get out there, and it's like sort of putting two hats on and facing in different directions and trying to be in the same place at the same time.
Is that because you love both, though? Is it just you want to be hands-on, or...?
It's... I'm too hands-on. I think I'm probably typical of an awful lot of people that run their own businesses. I ought to let go more. Yes, it has to be said that my career has been involved in a number of very, very successful businesses, all of which flourished when I departed. So I can't claim...
Oh, I'm sure that's
so probably the best thing I could do would be to leave and leave it in someone else's hands. But I'm not going to.
Explain how you got to be here 25 years ago, because I think originally, was it a cider business before it became juices?
It's amazing how many people still think that we're a cider business, and
really,
we haven't made a cider this side of the millennium. So there you are, but people still think of us as a cider business. I took over a defunct cider business, and my big problem with that was I don't like cider, and I have to be enthusiastic and like the products I make. And so, as soon as I was able, which took about 8 years or 9 years, we dropped the cider. But there are an awful lot of people of about my age and a little bit older who so they will never forgive James White because it was their first and most wicked hangover that they've ever had. And they all live about 20 miles from Ipswich, really, between Ipswich and Norwich, basically. Not a very big market there, but it was, anyone who lives up that way, they've all had a dreadful hangover. But I'm glad to say I'm no longer responsible for such terrible things.
Just healthy drinks.
Just healthy drinks.
So when you bought it, did you know you were going to go into the fruit juices?
I got into, really, because they did individual varieties of apple juice. So I do Bramley, Cox and Russet. And it was, the idea was that at the time there was an enormous amount of hype into de-alcoholized wines. And I correctly predicted that they were not going to work because the concept was appalling. But the idea of having something that was a really high quality, but as an alternative to wine that you could drink as a sort of grown-up. And the Bramley and Cox and Russet, we filter the juice, we press them ourselves, but we filter them, and the end result is absolutely fabulous and so much better than people expect. And because they're used to clear juices being made out of concentrates, and so I thought, this is fantastic. This is going to, I'm going to seize this market. I'm going to conquer the world. It didn't quite work that way. I just didn't manage to convince enough people that clear pressed apple juice was an alternative to wine, really. But they're wrong. I can assure you, they should be an alternative to wine.
You'll be drinking it at your party, won't you?
You should be. I've got to, sadly, because I've got to drive home. Yes.
And if people, I think if people ever tasted the drink, the various, because I found it fascinating how they're totally different in the same way as apples are different. Yeah.
Well,
the juices are different.
It was the thing is, if you go to the wine counter and you say, and all they say is we've got red wine and white wine, you go, that's ridiculous, Where are all the varieties gone to? But you go to the apple juice counter, you just get apple juice. And actually, there's every bit as much variety, potential in apples as there is in grapes. So it shouldn't come as a surprise, but it does come as a surprise because the difference is so astonishing. So you can go right from one extreme, a really crisp, dry Bramley is a really nice, sharp, Sauvignon Blanc, sort of real, to you go, Cox's are much more sort of flowery and sweet, but delicious, but light. And then we do a Russet, which is like a deep, rich dessert wine. When I'm really getting carried away, I have been known to describe it as the Chateau d'Yquem of the apple juice world. That's when I'm really I probably had one too many by that stage, really.
So when did the idea for the vegetable? I mean, was that a eureka moment?
It was sort of. I'd always right from the beginning, I'd always wanted to do carrot juice. Actually, that was the sort of thing. And
there used to be something called there probably still is V8, wasn't there? So which is a competition, I guess. But
well, actually, if you look at them, you'll find, although it says V8, which stands for 8 vegetables, you go and have a look you'll find it's about 95% tomato juice with a sprinkling of everything else, which is great if you like tomato juice, but it's not really a proper wide-ranging vegetable juice. And so carrot juice is actually, the thing about carrot juice is if you make it at home, you'll be astonished how good it is, actually, and it really, really is sweet and light, and the challenge from us as a manufacturer is that in order to give it some shelf life and actually give us time to sell it, we have to heat treat it, and when we heat treat it, it does affect the flavour. So the carrot juice is good. Our carrot juice is really good, but is it as good as what you make at home? The answer is I think you can probably make it. You can tell the difference anyway.
Mind you, most of us don't make it at home, do we? Let's face it, which is where you're onto a winner.
But when it comes to our beetroot juice, you're in for a surprise.
So
because our beetroot juice is better than you can make it.
Where did that? Because I know that there's a lot of research, isn't there, about beetroot juice now, and the fact that it is good for the red blood cells, and at least I've heard. Yeah, explain. And I want to know which came first. Did you get into beetroot because of the science, or did the science happen after you?
No, well, I'd love to say it was my foresight and genius that managed to take this whole thing on its, but it's nothing of this kind. I got into beetroot juice because actually I realised that in fact it's a good product. It's not everyone's thing, but what's been great as we've done it is there's about 20-25% of the world absolutely love it. I admit that at least half the world go, you must be joking, I'll never touch the stuff. Some of them might be surprised if they were brave enough, but I suspect they'll never try it, actually. But I realised it's a really good product, and it just wasn't on our wavelength at all. And I thought, no, this was something, here, let's go for this. This is about as niche as you can get, how niche can you get? And then I was incredibly lucky, and that is that about 2 years after I'd got going and selling very small quantities, a group of scientists came up to us us. And really, they said, when we publish our findings, your sales are going to go mad. And I went, don't be ridiculous. I don't believe a word of all that nonsense. Because I'm of an age where you're so sceptical, and I've heard it all before, and I've seen it with all my various different juices. It's all super this and super that. And I shouldn't say this because I'm selling fruit juice, but it is, if you don't like it, you shouldn't be drinking it, is my general theory. And I stick to that, with the one exception, as it's turned out, with beetroot juice. And that's because it's very high in something called nitrates. And this is not like any of these other super juice stories, which are all about.
So it's not like, because they change every so often, don't they?
And they're all so actually, I hate the super juice name, because this is a totally different story, and this is all about something called nitrates. And what the scientists realised is this interacts with enzymes in your saliva. So don't use mouthwash, because that kills them all off. It's very bad. They think it's a scandal waiting to happen, by the way. So just watch this space. But anyway, this interacts, and it converts ultimately to something called nitric oxide in the blood. And the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 1998 was awarded for the chaps that discovered the role that it plays, which is it's a vasodilator. It opens blood vessels and helps blood to flow. So what this means is, if you have high blood pressure and you need to reduce it, you should drink your beetroot juice glass every morning, and it works every day for the rest of your life. And the new research, which has not yet hit the publicity side, but has actually just come out, shows that even if you're on the pills, you should do this. It works even over and above the pills. So it's fantastic. It's amazing, actually. And what I love about it is it works within half an hour. So it's quite...
that quickly?
So we're not talking about something you have to take for the rest of your life and hold your breath and hope something. If it doesn't work, then stop taking it. But it does work. That's the difference. And
there has been lots of research as well about with athletes, hasn't it, at altitude and so on. Because I wished because I did Kilimanjaro and felt poorly, and I thought afterwards I should have tried, because it helps open up the blood vessels.
And it's exactly the same story, but it's for a different benefit, and that is this increased blood flow increases the amount of blood that reaches what they call the muscle extremities around the body, and that's where there is you need your energy, and what's happening is that increases the oxygen in your blood, which enables you then to create more energy, because it's basically oxygen plus sugar or glucose equals energy, and this is boosting the side, which almost nothing else does. It's unique. Nothing else. And so, in a very, very crude terms, this is I get really told off for saying this, but very crude terms, Mr. Lance Armstrong had a hiccup in his career due to the fact that he was blood doping, and the reason he was blood doping was precisely the reason why you should take your beetroot juice. I know it sounds absolutely insane, and frankly, I would have locked myself up if I'd been speaking this 6 or 7 years ago, because I'd have said this is completely off the wall.
Did it make a difference to your sales?
It made a huge difference. Can't deny it. It's been absolutely astonishing. I mean, I'd never have been selling beetroot. We supplied England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand rugby teams. I have a great story. Great story.
In a minute or two. Don't just yet, because we've got travel news. Okay. No, you're not talking to it. It's lovely. It's very hard to take you seriously when you're glittering, though, I have to say as well. So we'll talk more about beetroot, and we'll also talk about the Big Tom, because you got a royal warrant for that, which must have been quite a pleasing moment for you as well. Lawrence Mallinson, head of James White Drinks. I have to call it James White Drinks, although Apple tends to trip off the tongue. So James White Drinks just celebrated 25 years, so we'll talk more to him in just a minute or two. It's 21 minutes past 3.
BBC Radio Suffolk
Travel.
The latest with Bill.
Yes, Ipswich, not too bad actually on the whole. Civic Drive just started to build a little bit. Copdock interchange is looking okay. Bit of traffic for Bury, Compiègne Way, and looking quite slow for Normanston Drive in Lowestoft at the coast as well. Looking at the weekend, big football match on tomorrow as the Tractor Boys take on Middlesbrough. A kick-off at 3 o'clock, so that might get quite busy from lunchtime onwards for Portman Road tomorrow. Still quite a lot of Christmas events going on across Suffolk over the weekend as well, including the Christmas Craft Fair, both tomorrow and Sunday at the Mid-Suffolk Showground. So we'll keep an eye on those routes for you as well. That's the latest from BBC Radio Suffolk Travel.
Keeping the county moving.
BBC Radio Suffolk.
Absolutely fantastic.
Thought the kids were brilliant.
Shelter me, friends. Shelter me, friends. Thank you for sheltering me.
I thought it was marvellous.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
Absolutely fabulous.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Listen to the BBC Radio Suffolk Carol Concert, Christmas Eve at 6 and Christmas Day afternoon from 1. Leslie Dolphin
On BBC Radio Suffolk.
BBC Radio Suffolk.
Oh, Lawrence Mallinson after this from Michael Bublé. Cold December night.
Stockings are hung with care. The children sleep with one eye open. Well, now there's more than toys at stake, 'cause I'm older now, but not done hoping. The twinkling of the lights, the Santa carols fill the household. Old Saint Nick has taken flight with a heart on board, so please be careful. Each year I ask for many different things, but now I know what my heart wants you to bring. So please just fall in love with me this Christmas. There's nothing else that I will need this Christmas. Won't be wrapped under a tree. I want something to last forever. So kiss me on this cold December night. A tree that smells of pine, a house that's filled with joy and laughter. The mistletoe says stand in line. Loneliness is what I've captured. Oh, but this evening can be a holy night. It's cozy on up by the fireplace and dim those Christmas lights. So please just fall in love with me this Christmas. There's nothing else that you will need this Christmas. It won't be wrapped under a tree. I want something to last forever. So kiss me on this cold December night. They call that season of giving. I'm here, I'm yours for the taking. They call it the season of giving. I'm here, I'm yours. Just fall in love with me this Christmas. Nothing else that we will need this Christmas. Won't be wrapped under a tree. I want something to last forever. 'Cause I don't wanna be alone tonight. I'll wear like a Christmas sweater, walk proudly to the mistletoe tonight. I want something to last forever. So kiss me on this cold December night. They call it the season of giving. I'm here, yours for the taking. They call it the season of giving. I'm here, I'm yours.
Mr. Bublé and Cold December Night, 26 minutes past 3. Foz with you for drive time. He's with you for just a couple of hours tonight between 4 and 6 o'clock. Tell you in a little while exactly what he's got in store for you, but bring you right up to date with the latest news. Guest with us on the programme is Lawrence Mallinson, MD of James White Drinks, just celebrated 25 years. It's scary, isn't it, how time zips past, don't you think?
Oh, it's terribly scary. There are three others, so there are four of us who've all been there right from the very beginning, and we were sort of shocked. Horror, that's 100 years of juicing experience
between
us all, and we're going, oh my God, it doesn't really feel like that at all.
we were just talking about Beat It and supplying athletes and so on, weren't we?
Well, yes, as I say, I wouldn't really believe it unless I actually did it, and we now sort of supply, Olympic teams, and Mo Farah, David Weir are on it, and all over the world I get inquiries I was just saying that we had this rather fun story recently, which is that my wife was out in Japan, and she's a classical musical agent, and when she goes to meetings in Japan, it's very formal, and you hand over a little present, and she takes my little Beat It shots because they're perfect, and they all get terribly excited because they all suffer from high blood pressure, and they just think it's the most marvellous little thing. Anyway, she was in the hotel, and she realised that she was sharing this hotel with the Maoris, which are the New Zealand All Blacks second rugby team, and so she thought, oh, I ought to offer them my shots, just tell them about them. She's a great PR. She's a walkie-talkie. She's marvellous, really. Yeah. And so she got them out, and she was in the lift with a couple of them, and she said, oh, you boys, you should be taking these Beat It shots. And they looked at her, they said, it's all right, love, we already do. I thought, yay! It really was a nice surprise.
That is exciting, isn't it? Made here in Suffolk and then sent around the world
to New Zealand and all over the place. We've had inquiries from American football teams, Aussie rules teams are using them. Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's slightly mad, but I'm not complaining, and it's rather exciting.
Tell me about Big Tom as well, because to get the royal warrant, it's tomato juice is nothing new, is it?
But this isn't a tomato juice. This is spicy tomato juice.
This isn't just any tomato juice.
No, the thing about Bloody Marys is that I've always loved Bloody Marys, and actually they're jolly difficult to make well, and you really need to know what you're doing. And even I, who love them, I've struggled because you're doing it on a micro scale. I only do it once every few months, and so I think, oh God, what do I do? And I'm trying to put the Tabasco in, and I put 1 drop in, and it's not enough. Then I put something, it goes 5 drops, and I'm going, oh dear, what do I do now? I put too much in, and it's just difficult. And so I developed Big Tom really because of this issue, and in particular in pubs. Most barmen don't have any experience or don't really know about it, and then they're asked to make a Bloody Mary once every 3 months, and they don't know what they're doing, and they're in a hurry, and you just get a terrible Bloody Mary. So the result is you don't ask because it's too much of a risk. So I just thought, oh, well, this is an obvious thing. What we need to do is make sure that we get it right every time, so you know that you're going to get something really decent and really spicy. And that's what Big Tom is. And I'm glad to say I had a quite sweet story about the Royal Warrant, actually, because when we originally launched, I actually didn't quite get it right, and it wasn't quite spicy enough, and it wasn't quite thick enough to make a proper Bloody Mary. But rather than admit that I made a mistake, which of course we never make mistakes, do we? I actually decided that we were going to launch another one. So we had 2 versions of it. Right? So we had our original, and we had our rich and spicy, which was thicker and spicier and was absolutely spot on. And I thought, this is, and then I knew that as soon as I decently could, I was going to kill the original, because how can you have a definitive Bloody Mary mix and have 2 of them? It's just a contradiction. So I killed it, and and everything was going happily along for about another month or 2 later, and then we got a phone call from a neighbour of ours up in Suffolk, who I will not name, but he was very kind, and he said, I have a slight problem to raise, which is that Her Majesty the Queen really liked your original Big Tom, but she finds your rich and spicy a bit too spicy. At which point I thought, oh goodness me, if I was, because I had to write a letter to them to say, I'm very sorry, ma'am, but unless you want it by the tanker load, you're stuffed, or something to that effect. And I thought, good thing it's Queen Elizabeth II and not the first. I think I'd have had my head taken off.
In the tower.
Yeah. So anyway, despite this failure to correct my recipe, I got a Royal Warrant 5 years later.
How'd you do that? Do you apply?
You actually apply, but it's you need to supply them for 5 years, and we knew that we were supplying them because they just simply bought. We literally shipped it into Buckingham Palace. I don't know why or how they ever found out about it, but they obviously found out about it, and they were very, very early adopters. They picked it up really quickly, really in its early days. So really, within 5 years of it being launched, we realised that we've been supplying them for 5 years. When you've supplied someone for 5 years, you then actually that's what you do. You go, oh, we apply.
Excuse me, can we have them all?
And then they sit around a table, apparently. I wasn't there, but they sit around a table and they discuss, now, shall we have this spicy tomato juice? Shall we add it to the Royal Warrants? And they go, yes. And there are probably some things that they go, now, shall we add this, whatever it is, rather dodgy, whatever it is that we've been buying? And they go, no, we're not going to have that one, no. So I think I don't think you can claim it as a right. But if you're lucky, you just...
It's brilliant, though, isn't it, in terms of business?
Yeah, I'm very thrilled with it. I don't think it sells very many bottles in the UK. I think it has had uses. I mean, in Japan, we supply all over the world for different products and different things. And, for example, they particularly when it comes to dealing with customers and whether they want to know whether they take you seriously or not, the fact that you have a royal warrant definitely gives us a leg up, as it were. Yeah, no, definitely, yeah.
And in terms of production, I mean, how do you run the business? Because do you do apples at apple time of the year and then do the
Yes,
others?
it is a bit of this is, and particularly with our beetroot now, because we're doing so much beetroot juice, and that is a challenge because there is a season to pressing, and typically it's the same time as apples, which was jolly inconvenient of it. I should have come up with something that didn't need to be pressed at the same time. So just at the moment, we are going absolutely hammer and tongs pressing, huge amounts of beetroot and apples, and we just keep going flat out. Now, the beetroot, we actually, because we're doing so much now, we put it into stores. So I've got 500,000 litres in big tanks sitting in a warehouse at the factory, because at the moment we're press.
So you just make it and then
we do a lot of bottling there and then send it out as as we're going, but we just you just can't do it, or we can't. There is only a 4-month season, so we need to hold back for later in the year when people they don't expect to run out. That's the trouble.
And the tomato juice, I guess you can do it.
No, tomato juice is easier because in fact we don't press tomatoes. On the whole, fruit and vegetables all generally are best pressed local to where they're grown. And although I'll probably get killed for this, but although there are people who grow very good tomatoes here, actually when it comes to juicing purposes, the best tomatoes come from nice hot climates, and ours all come from Portugal, and they always have done, actually.
But you do, and one of the things I think you say is that you do quite a lot of local, like fruit and veg, as much as you can,
the beetroots, we're going, I'm really pleased. We found a local farm, a Nacton, who grow now, about, I don't know what it is, about 10 or 15% of our product, which is great. Yeah. And then we ship some of it in from as far afield as Cambridgeshire, I'm afraid. Oh, well, that probably comes, is that in your, that's probably in your area, well, we BBC Suffolk.
It's in the Look East area.
It's almost here. And that's because that's a big beetroot growing area. So, and the apples actually, again, sadly, an awful lot of them have been grubbed up in Suffolk.
We used to have loads of orchards, didn't we? And no, not so many.
But I know it's rather strange. You've got Capella and you've got Aspels and you've got ourselves, and we're all in Suffolk, and there aren't very many apples grown here anymore. So they all come in from Sussex and Kent, really.
Yeah.
And
at least they're British, though,
It's a bit from Cambridgeshire, but they're largely most of what we do is local, but not everything. No, there are some stuff we have to bring in from abroad, and that's not a bad thing necessarily. Yeah.
How did you come to want to work with the fruit juices? Because you helped found Covent Garden Soup Company, didn't you? Which everybody's heard of.
Yeah, no. Well, I was one of the founders. I wasn't the main chap. There's a chap called Andrew Palmer who really should take that credit. But I was there right at the very beginning and one of the founding directors, and that was great and really exciting. But I suppose it was. I've always wanted to run my own business. Let's just say I think there were 3 chiefs in that business, and that's 2 more than you need. And in the end, I thought, well, I'll go and do my thing. And I was casting around looking for something, and it was really the apples, which I still think it's been frustrating because we do a good business with it, but it's never really taken off to the level that I think the product deserves. I think they are fantastic. I think they're really good, and I'm still as proud of my very original products as I ever have been. But as things have turned out, I've been more successful selling vegetable juices than I have selling apple juice.
You would never have predicted
I'd never have known. Particularly, you have to bear in mind, I'm somebody who hated beetroot as a child. That pickled beetroot that stained the spam and mashed potato on my school dinners. Oh, I hate that. No, I had to be gunpoint force-fed it. And now, actually, it's been really interesting because because of my success with beetroot, I've sort of decided I've got to learn to like beetroots, of course. And actually, once you start cooking them properly and not pickling them, but roasting them and giving a few spices, and my wife makes a fantastic. She uses them like lasagna, so she slices them like lasagna, and creating a sort of lasagna where instead of the pasta you use layers of beetroot.
How healthy is that?
And no, but it's fantastic. It's fantastic in terms of it's the most fantastic colour, but actually the taste and the texture is just perfect. It's really good, and she sort of puts layers of.
Oh, we need her recipe.
Bechamel and bechamel sauce and ham and layers, and it's really good.
That's making me hungry.
No, it's well worth. And you should experiment. People should roast beetroot is fabulous, but pickled beetroot I'll let someone. I know there are people who like them, but I'm not. I'm still not there. No, despite the fact that I make a living out of selling like beetroot.
So now you've had the 25 years and got the next 25 to come.
Gosh,
what do you reckon will be the next beetroot? What will be
the next beetroot? There's not another beetroot. That's the trouble. Beetroot's this nitrate is actually you can get it in spinach and you can get it in rucola salad, but they make disgusting juices. So I think beetroot's it, really.
Do you occasionally try other juices?
Oh no, we're always looking for things, and I'm, experimenting. I really want to produce a green juice because people think it's really healthy, and it is. But the problem we face is it's like all these things. People are now starting to put beetroot into lots of products because of the success we've had. And if you've only got 20% beetroot there, you've not got very much nitrate. So there's really, if you're really after the nitrate, then really you've got to drink something that's largely beetroot, because otherwise it's so the trouble slightly is you get this idea, people get this idea, they put the name on and they use it to sell, but actually it's not delivering what people think it's delivering. And so the same with green juice. People, what they're really wanting is they like the idea of a sort of spinach, kale, all those lovely green vegetables. The big problem is they make horrible tasting juices. So how do you make the thing green and have all the goodness in it and taste good? And you do it basically by actually reducing the amount of all that green stuff in and putting lots of apple juice in and other things in. So actually, if you look at what's being sold as green juice generally at the moment, and certainly when they went out to the States, they were either completely undrinkable, horrible, or quite nice, but then you looked at them and you realise, oh, well, it's really just a variation on apple or pear juice, frankly, So it's trying to get the balance right. I know consumers would love the idea of spinach and kale juice because it sounds so healthy, and it probably would be healthy, but they wouldn't like the taste.
It would be horrible to taste.
They wouldn't want the taste.
Well, we shall watch this space, see what happens.
I'm trying to master it.
I'm going to let you go because you've got a Christmas party to go to, and I'd hate you to miss your Christmas party. Thank you so much for coming in. Congratulations on the 25 years.
It's a pleasure.
It's been lovely chatting to you as well. So Lawrence Mallinson with us. James White Drinks. So you heard all about Big Tom and Beat It as well.